a little bit. Can you see the screen to your left?
Absolutely.
Okay, right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you 3 images. They are scenes from Star Wars, and the head of the character will be covered with the R2-D2 dome. You have to identify who the character is. Simple.
Sure.
Slightly more difficult probably through these eyes, but have a look over there and tell me who this first image is. Who's that?
That's really difficult.
It's BB-8. Let's have a look. Yes, it's BB-8. Well done. Okay. Let's have the next image. Ooh. Who's that one?
It's a little familiar.
Really?
I think it's Wicked.
It's Wicked. Let's see. Yes! It is. Ewok there. Okay, the third and final image. Who's that?
Well, that's the very dashing Poe Dameron.
Let's see if it is. Yes! Well done. Congratulations. You have won.
No more adventures. I'm not going that way.
You know, that little droid's gonna cause me a lot of trouble.
Oh, he excels at that.
This RT unit has a bad motivator. Look.
Pathetic.
That's what I mean. Town is that way. Maybe we should leave target practice behind.
Navigating in asteroid fields is approximately 3,721.
Never tell me the odds. It's high. It's very high.
Without a doubt, it saved the ship as well as our lives.
Congratulations. You are being rescued.
You did it!
They're dying, aren't you? Are you sure this thing is safe?
Then they shut the gate, and we're all annihilated in the cold dark vacuum of space. Zombie.
I can survive in
I think more than anything else in Star Wars is the characters have always been a surprise and delight as they've come to life. Because eventually you actually take a real person and stick them into that character. And that real person brings with him or her an enormous reality. And when it goes on the screen, it's magic. Hi Kenny, how you doing?
I was working in the West End of London in Cabaret, and my agent said, there's a guy in London looking for someone to be inside a robot. So I was sort of sent down for sort of an audition, really, and walked in, and they were all in the offices, and all they did was say, he'll do. Yeah, that he'll do because I was the right size, really. When there's dialogue going on, and I'm reacting to the dialogue, or being spoken to by somebody, but I have to sort of move and look left, look right, shake, say yes, say no. I have to kind of get into a rhythm with it. It always surprises me how many people do know me. It's great.
We're going to see some of his work right now. We are going to get him right on stage. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome one and only Mr. Matthew Word.
Hey, how you doing?
Welcome to the show, Matthew.
Thank you very much.
So how's your celebration experience been so far?
Absolutely insane. I loved it, every minute of it. You know, I can't tell you how amazing it is to have a role that's normally behind the scenes and to be able to have some connection to the fans this direct. So I love coming to these shows and then taking this energy back to the Skywalker Ranch, to our crew. We're deep into making episode 8 right now.
Yeah.
And it's so fun, and it brings so much life to us to have to come here and bring this back with us back home to Skywalker Ranch. So I just want to thank everybody for all the well wishes they've given us, and I just, it's been fantastic.
Well, we also admire what you do as well. You know, I think, especially fans at events like Celebration, they really appreciate every aspect of what brings Star Wars to the screen. And, you know, the sound is a very important part of that, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, George Lucas has always talked about sound. As I've said this quote a few times here, it's 50% of our experience in the theater. You know, you have all the amazing visuals that are created, and then sound is that sort of emotional underpinning that's got to have a subconscious link to the story and basically guide you through the filmmaking process. And sound has that ability, that unique ability to do it from a very emotional standpoint.
Absolutely. Now, tell us how you got started in sound. Is it something you were doing from an early age?
Yeah, you know, my father had gone, he had a lot of business in Japan, so he would always come back with some amazing electronics, and we had a computer really early on in life, and I really got into sound through the Macintosh computer in the late 80s, and then was able to take some of my... I was also doing acting at the time. I was doing a lot of theater, and I was a kid, and I figured this blend of sound work, which I got hired at Skywalker Sound for when I was like 17 years old, my blend of sound work and my love of acting kind of came together. George Lucas gave me a lot of opportunities to use my voice in the film. In a lot of the movies, and normally taking the technology of what you're doing, processing voices in the computer, and then also using my own voice as an instrument is how that came together.
Fantastic. Now tell us about working with the legendary Ben Burtt.
Oh, fantastic, man! I mean, I've worked with him for 20 plus years, and he's built. He's a legend in Star Wars. He's made the lightsaber sounds, the Wookiees, the TIE Fighters, the Millennium Falcon, lasers. He cuts picture, he cuts music, he's a storyteller, he's an actor, he's Wally, he's R2-D2. I mean, he's a fantastic person to work with, and really guided me in my early career on how to be one, a good person. We never really did a lot of overtime, and he was never a bad boss, and he always was encouraging in what to do. So I really tried to maintain that with my crew as well.
Did you have a good Ben Burtt story you can tell us now?
You know, I just think it's fun sitting with him. Actually, one of the characters that I've sort of taken the mantle over from him is the battle droids, and how those came together. He was doing some early mocap tests with the battle droids for Phantom Menace. And I remember he had done this, it was very early on where the suits weren't as elaborate as they were now, obviously for Rogue One and all that. It's far more advanced, but basically back then it was just a bunch of ping pong balls, literally, that he had on a little leotard. And he set one of the points of the ping pong ball up too high and did all this mocap work for the battle droid, and it ended up that the battle droids ended up looking like they were walking around like this after they came out of the computer, and so their butts were up really high like that. And it was an error, really, but then it ended up working. You know, it gave this kind of uneasy feel to them, that was purely out of an accident.
That's brilliant. Yeah. That's brilliant. Do you, as a sound designer and creator, have a favourite sound? It could be a natural sound in the world, or something you've created or Ben's created.
My fondest memory of Star Wars, working on it, which I still am now, but my fondest memory was on Phantom Menace, actually, the pod race. That was just such a fun thing. George Lucas gave us a huge amount of latitude there.
So what are we hearing when we watch the pod race?
All kinds of things. I mean, I went out and recorded like a jet boat, helicopters, unmuffled Ferraris, custom-made cars on this one racetrack, rocket ships. I mean, I had months to go and pull in all these sounds. and World War I biplanes, which are really rare. We brought these all into the studio, and Ben would do his work on them to give each pod a very distinct sound. George wanted each pod to have it, like, Sebulba's pod to be really low and guttural.
Engine sounds, didn't
yeah, so, and when you watch that, you hear those sounds that you can very much identify them with the pod race, and it's not something that you hear every day. Star Wars is always it has a weirdness to it, and it's kind of messy, it's kind of lived in and used, and that's kind of what we want to do with the sound as well.
It's fantastic what you do, we all enjoy it. Before we carry on chatting, I just want to check in with our droid builders, see how things are going. So can we have a look at what's going on backstage? Look at that. There is a semblance of something beginning, although the tape looks a little confusing.
Whoa.
Yeah. Okay. I don't hold. We're going to see anything good by the end of the show. But anyway, we'll check it in a bit later on. Fantastic. Now, when did you start, instead of just mixing sound and creating them, actually giving them voices yourself?
That was probably around, I worked on the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles. There wasn't a lot of droids in that show, but I did a lot of background kind of voice work in there. George let me play a lot of background, like, villains and whatnot. But
was that because you were quite good at it, or just cheap?
Probably, I'd say probably more so cheap than good. You can't have, the three things: cheap, good, and fast. You can only pick two. George gave me a lot of opportunity there, and then he had me play like Bib Fortuna in the pod race. I got to do that. That's the only time my face is in the movie, but I don't actually speak. So all the other roles I've played have been speaking but no face. So there hasn't been one to synergistically get those together yet, but I'm waiting, so I'll have to hit Ryan Johnson up for that. But I just started experimenting with my voice on various characters in Phantom Menace, and then went forward from there. I played, I can't even remember, there's a lot of little creatures and stuff that I played, but the real opening of that was General Grievous. Slightly a droid, he's not cybernetic, he's got some biological components to him, which we tried to illustrate with a cough. There he is. But that was a funny story how I got that. I basically submitted my name anonymously because I didn't want George Lucas to kind of laugh it off, but I even was going to audition, but it ended up that my name amongst 20 other actors got in, and George actually liked it, so I had to sort of Jedi mind trick George Lucas to get the role.
Wow, so you submitted your audition under a false name.
I did.
And chose that one.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So you're obviously the best.
I guess. For whatever he wanted. Yeah. I think I had the advantage of knowing what he wanted, and it was partially out of frustration because the producer was like, Industrial Light and Magic needs the final voice to animate this. They had all the body movement because it was a purely 100% digital performance, so the voice was the last thing to sort of put that together. So that opened a lot of doors. Doing the Grievous voice was really fun for me.
Yeah.
And then after that, Dave Filoni coming on to the Clone Wars series, he came in really utilizing me. So he had me do all kinds of droids and different things for his show. I did, I was probably in 80 different episodes of acting on that one. And the heartfelt one that I really love are the battle droids. That's been really fun to play those guys.
A lot of fun. So you're all over Star Wars. It's fantastic to have you do what you do. I'm actually just looking here. I'm missing my last question. I did have a really good question, but I can't remember what it was. Hang on.
Here we come.
To save the day once again. Oh, hang on. It's got more than a question on here. What else have we got here? Got my last question. And, play this cookie.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Hang on a minute. Sorting out before he leaves. A little bit later on. Thank you very much. They are no longer the best seats in the house.
Yeah. Very nice. Look at the reflexes.
Yeah.
Amazing.
My word.
We should get the money.
You don't keep the change.
Keep the change.
Are you all right? Are you all right?
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I'm embarrassing. Right, so this is the final question.
I'm ready, yes. Final question.
Hopefully it was worth waiting for. Why are droids so loved, in your opinion? Why do we all love these guys?
Droids, they have a lot of heart. you know, also for an actor, you get to really, you know, when your face isn't shown, there's a certain other quality that you really are, as I said, working out of sound, you're working out of your emotion. All the different droids that you see in Star Wars, I think, have that same heart, and it really gives the actor freedom to really just purely do it out of emotion. And, you know, when we're talking about emotion and heart, I'm sorry to say this, Warwick, but I think, you know, the fact that we don't have Anthony Daniels here is a little strange to me.
Well,
I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, don't...
The thing is...
I mean, C-3PO...
I know, I mean...
This is like the iconic droid of the Star Wars series, and I'm not sure, don't you think?
No, he's iconic, but I will say he did have an hour on my stage, more than an hour yesterday. And we heard plenty of stuff. If you were here...
Plenty? C-3PO, do you think you could ever hear too much C-3PO? I think we need to have C-3PO here, and I don't no offense to the show. I'm happy to be here too. I mean, I love Star Wars too, but that's Anthony Daniels, C-3PO.
Listen, right? He's probably busy. He's in the autograph hall. There's probably a couple of fans waiting to go. So he'll be busy. But I'll give him a call just to set your mind at rest. But I mean,
you have him on speed dial?
No, I don't have him on speed dial. No. I'll just dig through my contacts and find him.
Okay.
Golden boy, there he is. Sorry.
It's all right. So, anyway. Roger, Roger. Sorry, that was like...
What is that you? It's very noisy. Can you speak? What are you doing? What do you want?
Actually, it's just Warwick.
Yes.
So you're probably busy.
Yes.
But...
Yes. Where are you? It's a lot of noise. Where are you?
Oh, well, I'm in a show right now.
Oh,
Well, it's a show all about droids.
Droids?
Yes.
Why wasn't I asked?
You had your full hour yesterday on stage. You've done your show.
Ha! Rude!
So there's your answer.
All right, well, I tried. I don't know what else I can talk about. My career is pretty limited. I've only been at Skywalker for 26 years.
Right, well, let's just take another look in at our droid builders, see how they go.
Yeah.
See if there's been any progress since we last checked. Ah, look at that. The saran wrap has been used with the polystyrene now. I'm not sure saran wrap is a usual ingredient in building a droid, but they've got the cable that I gave.
I don't... Is this Disney approved?
Well done, guys. Keep going. Keep going. Well, Matthew, I will say it's been a pleasure to have you here, and thanks for all you're doing. Good luck with The Last Jedi.
Yes.
Wish us
luck.
No, not at all. I mean, I had experienced sci-fi fans in the sci-fi world by doing a show called Firefly. A lot of fans, a lot of crossover happening. Wash lives. About 3/4 of the movie. So I did know the sci-fi world and going to conventions. But really until I saw the movie put together, even when we were shooting the movie, you were there when we were in Jeddah. Just looking around that set, it was amazing how many creatures were there that I think all of them ended up in the movie. Just the most beautiful creatures and the art that was put into it, the different characters, their religions are being practiced, and all of this life happening, and that's just, it seemed very alive. And we were walking through telling our story, and it seems like there's just nothing but stories going on and on and on. And just the level of production value, the artistry, and everybody's commitment to it was just a whole different level.
I mean, it was a very real experience, you know, for a film that, you know, consisted a lot of CG and effects that were put on afterwards. Actually filming it, though, a lot of the things that we see on screen did actually exist, didn't they, for real?
Absolutely. Remember that big, there was like this big droid that was being dragged or he was being, I think he was being dragged by this smaller creature with the little elephant nose, and I mean, I don't even think I saw that in the movie. And he was like a 2-story droid.
Yeah, it was
huge.
Yeah, absolutely unbelievable. Now, obviously you're an actor, but did you audition for this role in a conventional way, or how did it come about?
I was called by Gareth. I was asked to do a Skype conversation with him. And I assumed, and I just found this out last night, so I assumed that they called me because I did Sonny and I, Robot. So I had been a different motion capture droid before. And we need a motion capture droid. Get me the motion capture droid guy, that guy, Sonny guy. And it was that kind of, but then also, John Shores, the producer, was a huge fan of Firefly, which is so cool. And so he knew me from that, and then also Frank Oz, who played Yoda, is also a great accomplished director, and he had directed a movie called Death at a Funeral that I did. I'm on drugs in this, like actually the character's on drugs.
Yes.
So the character's on drugs, and he's going through a lot of mood swings, and there was a scene, the audition scene, that they sent me involved a lot of mood swings. It was a scene that didn't make it in the movie where we were landing on a planet, I think it was the planet that Saw Gerrera lived on, or a moon that had a weird magnetic field around it that scrambled K2 going in. So the audition scene was that kind of like, well, we're going, everyone's going to be fine, you know. In 3 seconds we will be destroyed. So this whole the craziness. And I did it in an American accent, and I did it in sort of what I did Sonny in, which was just very pronounced, sort of stuffy American, and then a British accent, which he became. And they said, do that one.
Well, they never. What did you say?
He would just poke you.
Yes, he would. Because he's a man of, he's a droid of few words.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he
Yeah. You didn't have many lines to learn, did you? You didn't.
I joking. A lot of just words.
Really?
There were some.
Look out. On your legs. This is a note here, and also mints. Everybody wants a mint.
Oh yeah, thank you.
At the end of the show here.
Thank you.
Yes,
You
it's
gonna eat that cookie?
No, do you want it?
Yep.
I won't have the cookie. No. Some of us have to keep slim to get back in our suit.
Well, with that note, I'm afraid says we're out of time. But before we finish, let's just check in one last time on the droid builders. Maybe they can present their creation. Do we have? Have you finished? You got something to bring on? Oh, looking good. Looking good. Thank you for it. Yes, marvelous creation there. An Ewok merged with a droid. Yes. Wonderful. What do you think of that?
Do you want to put the headdress on again?
No, I don't. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for my very special guests, Mr. Alan Tudyk.